Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer Kreatsulis, and this is the amazing
Mulaney Rogers.
We're here in New York City at Balance talking about motherhood and recovery. In this video, we want to talk about the topic of our relationship with food and the relationship with food that we set up for our children. This is a topic I'm super passionate about. I have 2 little girls, and as a person recovered from an eating disorder, I've found that there's a lot of value in what I've experienced, because from what I've learned about myself and relationship with food, I can help my children have a healthy and strong relationship with food versus one that is complicated or guilt driven or shame driven, or some of the relationships that we tend to develop with food as we struggle with an eating disorder. So there's a couple ways that I kind of enforce this at home, and I don't mean that in a dictatorship type way, but more of setting a environment that is healthy for my children to experience food and relate to food. So there's a couple of things that I live by. One is to not reward or punish with food. Right?
Big one.
It's a big one. How many times in your life have you heard or even said, you know, if you just do this, then you can have this cupcake, or if you don't do this, then you can't have that, right? And if you've done it, no shame, right? This is a culture that kind of perpetuates this type of reward and punishment relationship with food,
sure.
right? So I just want to bring to your attention the fact that when we do that, we're setting our children up to relate to food not in necessarily the healthiest of ways. Right? We are setting them up to look at food as exactly that, a reward or a punishment, not a source of nourishment that they are entitled to, whether they have failed a test, are screaming their head off, or just being a pain in your side, right?
Which they can be.
Right. So
sometimes.
Exactly. So really, really, really important to start noticing your language around reward and punishment as it relates to food.
Absolutely. So I'm a nutritionist. Sorry, I wanted to emphasize that because my relationship with food and being a recovered person, my relationship with food and what I'm modeling for my daughter, who's 4, is something that is on my mind a lot. And also knowing that I wanted to make sure that she has a very neutral relationship with food, which I think is an essential way to be with food. All foods fit. There's no good foods, there's no bad foods, there's certainly no foods for reward and punishment. An example to explain that was when we were potty training her. I decided to not go the route of, if you do your pee-pee in the potty, you get an M&M.
Right.
And I just didn't go there. And I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing, but I just decided that I'm not going to use food in that way. And somehow, miraculously, she got potty trained without the chocolate.
Without the M&Ms.
But then, there was one day I forgot what happened, and then something came up, and one of her teachers or something said, if you go and use the potty, we'll give you a chocolate. And she responded immediately. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should have just done that from the beginning. It would have been easier, But that was one example. And the other example around food with my daughter is when kids start eating solid foods, and especially, now that she's 4, she's much more verbal about what she wants. And I got to tell you, as a nutritionist, I needed to really step back and just say, okay to the French fries, okay to the chicken nuggets, okay to chicken nuggets again tonight, okay to the mac and cheese and again tonight. And her latest thing is ice cream, because we have an ice cream truck just outside of our apartment that we walk past every single night. It's summertime here. So every night it's, Mummy, I want an ice cream. And I have no problem with her having ice cream at all. It's just that by the time we then get home, it is time for dinner. So I want her to have her dinner and have her ice cream after that. Or if it's early enough, if it's 3 or 4, then great, we grab an ice cream because that's our afternoon snack, But I'm deliberately watching myself and watching my default reactions, and I'm thinking about my nutritional training, and I'm also thinking about the eating disorder stuff that Jen and I both that lens that we both bring to motherhood, to try to set up a scenario where there is no power play in my house around food. And there might be people out there that say you're a terrible mum because you let your daughter eat crap food. And the reality is that, you know, she can choose whatever she wants, and over time she'll figure it out. You know, so that's my philosophy. And, you know, in 20 years I might be sitting here saying I got it all wrong. I don't know, but I don't think so. I mean, instinctually, it seems that that's the way to go. I don't want power play around food in my home, and I want it to be neutral, and I want to honor her preferences, even if those preferences are chicken nuggets, mummy, again tonight.
Yes.
What about you, Jen?
Oh, absolutely. Well, this brings up two really important points, because the whole macaroni and cheese over and over and over again, the hot dogs, the chicken nuggets, right? I remember I went through a little bit of a period where I literally was like, if I have to make another thing of macaroni and cheese, I'm gonna like flip it. I'm gonna lose it, right? Or if I have to do a hot dog again, like the kid food, it was really, it was agitating me. And that agitation, when I really looked at it, it was eating disorder stuff.
Was it?
It was.
There was a moral judgment around this is not healthy food.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just like old tapes about I would never eat that. I would never eat that. I would never eat that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sharing this because what's important is, and what I learned in this experience with the kid food is that, you know what? If you have issues with what your children eat, take it to your therapist.
Yes.
Take it to your partner.
Right.
Don't take it out on the food in front of the kids, right? Because now, if you do, what happens then is that macaroni and cheese that they just adore is something that makes mommy upset. Right? So if you are encountering foods that make you uncomfortable, but you know are appropriate choices for your children, you know, it's okay to have your feelings. Just deal with them, not in front of the little ones.
Yeah.
The other point, and the word that you used, Malini, that I love is preferences. You know, my husband and I have this bad habit of kind of sometimes asking each other, oh, what do you want? Oh, I'll have this. Well, you sure you don't want that? Okay, I'll have this. Well, you sure you don't want that? Right? And then we found out, like, we were kind of doing that with our kids. Like, okay, mommy, I'll have yogurt. Well, are you sure you don't want a hard-boiled egg? Well, are you sure? Right? And then what happens is, in that process, is the person on the receiving end of, well, are you sure you don't want, starts to lose their confidence in their ability to identify their preferences. And it also then starts putting labels on food as bad and good and all of that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think our overall message in this video today is that as someone recovered, who's healing from an eating disorder, has gone through these amazing, well, probably not amazing, difficult, challenging learning experiences, put them to work for yourself. Right? Use what you've learned and implement it into your home so that your children are kind of best set up to have healthy relationship with food. Yeah,
absolutely. And I would say, Jen, you know, in summary, you know, if you're solid in your recovery and you're at that place where you're totally neutral with food, you're in a really good place. But if you're not in that place exactly, and you find yourself a mum, I would say just bring that awareness that, hey, my relationship with food may not be the most neutral, but I need to I want to instill a neutrality with my kids around food.
Absolutely.
So you would maybe need to do some extra work around just kind of holding your opinions to yourself as best you can, and getting through it that way. Because I don't want people to have a feeling that I'm not neutral with food, so I can't be a good mum, because I don't want you to have that. But just to have that awareness that it can come up. And it will make you a bit crazy, the food stuff with kids, you know. So I got to say, I mean, I'm lucky. I have a sister who's got 2 girls who are a little bit older, so I've learned from her, and she's like, Mel, you will never ever win the food war. You just won't. So just don't even go there. So because she tried with her kids, so I think that was helpful in validating me, just saying, you know what, whatever Alex wants, that's my daughter, then, you know, just as long as she's growing beautifully, and she is, and, you know, all is well and good. Hang in there, guys.